We be live. Shalom, shalom, everyone. Guys, today, first of all, um, I'm really sorry to all the Israelis and everyone else, honestly, that is watching. I just heard, and thank you so much to Sarah for updating me on what's happening. I've heard what's happening to the Bibas, what happened to the Bibas family, the babies, the tragedy that just happened with regards to the hostages, and I am going to go follow that. I'm going to keep this stream under an hour as much as I can so that I go follow that news and what's happening there. And I'm really sorry to all the Israelis who are watching about what happened. And I'm almost sure that there's going to be a lot of disgusting takes on that probably would need to be called out. So the next stream will be about that. I'm going to see how people react to this. And again, the absolute tragedy. I'm really, really sorry. It's absolute devastation, and yeah, these monsters need to be called out, right? So sorry about that. And again, I wanted to see what happens. That's why we're gonna cover that on the next stream. And again, I want to thank Sarah, is the one who's highlighting your comments, and I also want to thank Sarah for keeping me informed about all the stuff that is happening as well. Thank you so much, Sarah. Sarah's following these things very closely. Thank you, Sarah. Talking about discussing takes, these two, I don't know if you guys know, I mean, they're a famous YouTube channel, Abba Preach, so I think a lot of you know them. And honestly, I was quite shocked about their take. This was, I mean, it's not an exaggeration. I think some of you might think the title is exaggerating. Honestly, this is maybe I'm wrong about this, and you could call me out if I'm wrong. But I honestly think this was a very, I was going to say borderline anti-Semitic, but it's not even borderline. It's just purely anti-Semitic take. No, I don't think so I wouldn't say they are, or somebody saying, wow, I didn't know they were anti-Semites. I wouldn't say, okay, if you say something that is anti-Semitic, I wouldn't go as far as calling you anti-Semite as an individual. Okay, sometimes we have bad takes and we have to be charitable when it comes to people, and sometimes people make a mistake and they have a take that could be categorized as an anti-Semitic take. But you have to, for me to consider you fully as anti-Semite, you have to be more consistent with it, and to show some intentionality for me to label you as an anti-Semite. And I haven't seen that from them yet, and that's why I was surprised. Like, when it comes to this take from them, I was surprised. So hopefully this is a one-off thing. Hopefully that this was not intentional. I'm going to be charitable and say that this was not intentional. Because usually these two have better takes than this. So I'm going to try to be charitable, but there's no way around this take that they just had. Let me actually just get into it and just play what they're saying. So let's watch.
So you know what I don't like?
Let me know if their audio is good. And guys, I need you to like this stream as well. Again, liking the stream, you guys know, makes YouTube show this to more people. So please go ahead and like the stream, okay? So, and also we have a new member. Let me just mention that. Oh, I don't know. Where did I go? The new member we just had. Yeah, there we go. Neon, thank you so much for being a member. Appreciate your support. We need the support, so thank you for that. So anyway, so let me just play no more.
You know what I don't like? That's coming out of the States right now.
That shit I don't like.
I hate all this DEI talk, bro.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a term used to describe policies and programs that promote the representation and participation of different groups of individuals. DEI encompasses people of different ages, races, ethnicities, abilities, disabilities, genders, religions, cultures, and sexual orientations.
The fact that Trump...
All right, so let's just be clear. You saw the definition, and pay attention to the definition. It's important, because the problem I have... So I consider myself a liberal, and as a liberal, I am liberal. The liberal position is to be anti-racism. The liberal position is also to be anti-woke. That is the proper liberal position. The problem with DEI for me as a liberal is not that it's anti-racism. Fighting racism is a good thing. Okay, fighting discrimination is a good thing. The problem with DEI, as it's defined here and as we see in practice, is that instead of fighting the root causes of racism, it tries to artificially engineer the outcome, artificially engineer equal outcome. That, I think that would be better to say, right? And also, it's a part of wokeism. And another problem with wokeism as a whole is that is over exaggerates racism, and it sees racism where racism does not exist. It basically tries to come up with racism as an explanation for all forms of inequality, and it tries to eliminate all forms of inequality with the excuse that the cause was racism, and it doesn't even address the cause. It actually increases the cause and just tries to deal with the outcome rather than the cause. That is the problem we have with DEI, right? However, all of that being horrible when it comes to DEI, it is also true that many right-leaning people and many anti-woke people disgustingly overuse wokeism and DEI to the point that it's now cringe to call out things as woke and DEI, right? In the same way that racism is actually a real concern. However, woke people just label everything as woke, even if it's not, label everything as racism, even if it's not racism. The other side has this problem too. Wokeism is a problem. However, many right-leaning people, unfortunately, call things woke and DEI, even though it's actually genuinely racism, like something that is genuinely racism. Some people on the far, on the actual far right, not just people who are labeled as far right just because they're properly anti-mass migration and shit like that. So the real racism, real homophobia, real discrimination. They're like, oh, woke is this is if you call that out, you're called woke. Like, no, this is actually a proper place to stand up against racism. Okay, so this is the liberal position, is the correct position to be both anti-racism but also try to deal with the cause, and also as anti-woke. So let's keep that in mind and let's go forward. Okay,
Disabilities, genders, religions, cultures, and sexual orientations.
The fact that Trump gets in office and all they do is fucking moan about, oh, black people in the wrong place and black people in positions of power. And, like, they're always bemoaning minorities for a lot of the catastrophes that happen, even though when it comes to a lot of these plane crashes.
Yeah, like, for example, it was absolutely disgustingly cringe when Trump, like, we had a plane crash and we had no idea what had happened, and hasn't been investigated, and Trump came out and like, oh, that's because of DEI. Like, what the fuck? We have no idea why the plane crash happened, right? And he's calling it DEI. Like, oh, you know how we made fun of woke people and we ask him like, oh, is racism in the room right now with us? Like, is racism is oozing out of the walls? Like, you see racism everywhere. Now we could say the same thing. I mean, we could always say with a lot of these right-leaning people, like, is wokeism right now in the room with us? Like, is DEI right now in the room with us? Like, we could make fun of these people in the same way that we make fun of woke people. Like, it's the same basically thing.
This is pretty much.
But so this part is correct. Okay, so this issue, that Abban preacher having with these people is correct. Okay, so I know you're
minorities for a lot of the catastrophes that happen, even though when it comes to a lot of these plane crashes, it's pretty much mostly white and mostly male pilots, or a lot of the different. It's just like, bro, shut up about the whole minority thing. And you know what I can't stand? If you're gonna talk so much about minorities and cry about them and cry about outreach for minorities, then do the same thing to talk about Jews. But all of a sudden, once it's Jews,
like, look how they're acting like they're like, do the same thing and talk about Jews. Okay, I don't know why he says Jews instead of Jews, but then he says oof, as if they're saying something brave, as if they're saying something, as if anti-Jewish racism is not spreading all over social media, and somebody who actually dares mentioning Jews is basically doing something brave and something that you cannot talk about. This is absolute, like, they keep acting like that throughout this show, throughout this video. So watch this.
Jews was like, they're not bad apples. They even created a commission to fight anti-Semitism.
Investigating anti-Semitism on college campuses. The Trump administration announced it is looking into allegations of anti-Semitism at 5 universities, including Columbia and the University of California.
I mean, but this is good. This is good. Yeah, investigate anti-Semitism. We should be doing this.
Berkeley. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joins us to discuss.
So, guys, do you think that do you consider me to be a hypocrite for saying this is good to investigate anti-Semitism? Okay. but I'm anti-DEI. So because that's the point that they're trying to make. Okay, so let's
of anti-Semitism at
hold on. Who's
To fight anti-Semitism.
investigating anti-Semitism on college campuses. The Trump administration announced it is looking into allegations of anti-Semitism at 5 universities, including Columbia and the University of California, Berkeley. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joins us to discuss. And Jeff, Trump signed an order last week calling for aggressive action to fight anti-Semitism on campuses. And it sounds like these investigations kick off the process.
They're one of the first steps, Didi. On the same day these investigations were announced, the Justice Department also announced a new task force with the sole purpose of rooting out anti-Semitism on college campuses. Along with Columbia and Berkeley, the DOJ will investigate the University of Minnesota, Northwestern, and Portland State. The acting assistant secretary for civil rights at the Department of Education addressed the investigations, saying that the department is putting universities, colleges, and K-12 schools on notice. This administration will not tolerate any form of anti-Semitism.
What he's done is create a task force to go around and find, not just in colleges and universities, but in grade school as well, instances of anti-Semitism so that they can document how often this is happening to kids and they can actually do something about it.
Yeah, now, the order Trump signed last week also calls for a full review of anti-Semitism complaints filed with the Education Department since October 7th, 2023, including pending and resolved cases from the Biden administration.
Now, replace anti-Semitism with racism, anti-Black, anti-Asian, anti-Native American, anti-Latino, anti-illegal. What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Black Lives Matter.
What's the difference?
Oh, you fucking idiots. Oh my God. The difference is that DEI does not do that. Our problem with DEI is not that it's I wish I would be supporting any program that is going out and is investigating racism, for example, in academia, and holding people responsible for their anti-Black, anti-Native American, anti-Asian racism. If that was the extent, if that was the point that was what DEI, I mean, even the name suggests that that's not what they're focused. If we had programs like that was finding racism, identifying racism, and tackling racism against all groups, Jews, Blacks, I don't know, Native American, whatever, Arabs, that would be a liberal program. That would be in line with liberalism, and I would be supporting that. The problem is that DEI does not deal with the root cause. DEI just tries to, in fact, it intensifies the root cause by making people, by causing more conflict, by providing some people more privilege with the excuse of engineering equal outcome at the end. It doesn't come at the beginning, it shows up at the fucking end. That actually causes more conflict and more discrimination and more racism. This is a false equivalence. Show me that they're doing that. I mean, if that was it, if that was the only thing that they were doing, I would be celebrating it. We should all be celebrating. Yeah, fight racism. But don't do two things. Don't artificially engineer the outcome by giving some people some privilege over others because of their ethnicity. 1. 2, do not diagnose every inequality as racism. Sometimes it's just that's how things work out. Just I mean, if this was what so-called DEI was doing, then it would be, and these right-leaning people were trashing that, then I would be with you. But these are not. This is a false analogy.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. So do you think that's what Black Lives Matter was? Guys, Black Lives Matter, I remember when it was at its peak, right? I remember the way I lost half of my friends for saying things like on Facebook and Twitter and places like that, for suggesting that, listen, telling black people to resist arrest is dangerous for black people. Because right after, I remember at the peak at the peak in Black Lives Matter, when we were at the middle of it, I remember people going around and saying that black people in America, every time they get arrested, they're basically, the chances of survival is close to zero. Like, police in the United States are just going around and finding black people to kill. And if a police is arresting you, they were suggesting that you have to resist arrest, because if you don't, the chances of you dying is astronomically higher. That was so dangerous to suggest to black people, that resisting arrest is a good idea. I'm like, that's actually going to get black people killed if you say that to them. And I when I posted that, I was called out. You don't believe that the levels of attacks and the people. I lost thousands of people as friends on my Facebook page, on my personal Facebook. It was insane the way that was. That was peak insanity. That was peak insanity. So let's continue. Let's continue.
What's the difference?
Oh, not the organization, just the train of thoughts. Not the organization.
So I just want to appreciate.
So what they're trying to suggest is the difference is that Jews have more control. They are trying to suggest that Jews are enjoying certain privilege because of the control they have over our politics. Tell me that's not an anti-Semitic trope. Because continue.
Black Lives Matter.
What's the difference?
Oh, not the organization, just the train of thoughts. Not the organization.
So I just want to appreciate there's literally zero difference.
No.
Isn't that DEI? What's the difference between that shit and saying, let's find...
No, that's not DEI. That is not DEI. Going out and finding anti-Semitism and basically trying to tackle and fight anti-Semitism is not DEI. You put on the definition in front of us and we read it together. How do you not know that this is not DEI? Also, fighting anti-black discrimination, that is not DEI. That is not DEI. DEI is the opposite of that. DEI is actually part of the problem. What the fuck? Didn't you just put the definition on the screen for us?
Isn't that DEI? What's the difference between that shit and saying, let's find racism against black folks? Let's find racism against Asians.
You know what the difference is?
Yeah, because was that DEI? Did you not see the definition? Is DEI for black people going out and finding discrimination against black people? Was that the definition of DEI? If that was the definition of DEI, I would be pro DEI. You just read it. How are you not? Do you not remember the thing that you put on the screen? Oh, fuck you.
Go ahead.
Who has the power? Who has the power to do it? Who has the power to...
Who has the power to... Look at this. They're saying the reason why Jews are enjoying certain privileges is because Jews have the power. Jews are in power. He's saying that Jews enjoy more privileges than other minorities because they control the politics of our country. Tell me that's not... You know what? This is anti-Semitic. This is racism. This is a very famous anti-Semitic trope that these people are highlighting on their very, very popular channel with 2 million subscribers. This got 300,000 views. This is absolutely disgusting and dangerous. And I don't understand, how are Jews having this much power, controlling everything, and yet, like, all over media, we have people just being so openly anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic, and apparently they're controlling the media. Like, I don't know how that works. If Jews control the media and power and politics, they seem to suck at it. Again, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying these people are, you know, their arguments is self-contradictory.
Change anything. Ain't no minority that's gonna do nothing about that. They don't have the power. They don't control anything.
All of a sudden, we got to protect minorities.
Oh yeah, so other minorities. So imagine this: the minority in the world that has received the most amount of hate, the most amount of discrimination, the most amount of violence throughout history. All of a sudden, like, oh no, this minority enjoys the power, unlike the other minorities. That's why they get DEI, and other people don't get DEI. You fuckers don't even know what DEI is.
That's gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
about that. They don't have the power. They don't control anything.
All of a sudden, we got to protect minorities when it's Jewish people. What happened? I thought y'all was going to be consistent. So y'all want to whine about DEI this, DEI that.
Well, I'm not going to say the Trump administration is consistent. Okay, I'm not going to say that. But you are not consistent. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Black people don't deserve this spot, or black people are not competent, or they're a strain our economy. But you got Jews and you got this.
Okay, so people who are saying that, if they're saying that this is inherent within people being black, they're being racist. Okay, so you are calling out some other people's racism, but you are also being racist yourself against Jewish people. So maybe they're being racist against black people. You're being racist against Jewish people by giving into anti-Semitic tropes.
Or black people are not competent, or they're a strain our economy. But you got Jews and you got this Israeli lobby all up in your business trying to talk about.
Oh, Israeli lobby all up in your business. See, they think that the reason why this is happening is because of see, I'm not exaggerating. They think this is because Israeli lobby. The reason why we have people fighting against anti-Jewish racism, antisemitism, otherwise known as antisemitism, is because Jews have power and they have too much. It's interesting because every minority group has lobbies. Every minority group in the United States have lobbies, and they're also going to talk about, I think, Israeli lobby, which is also interesting because all the other countries also have lobbies affecting U.S. policy. Do you think that black people don't have lobbies affecting U.S. policy? Do you think as they should? Every group has. Every group has. But no, you want to call out Jewish lobbies because what? Fucking hell, this is, guys, tell me, am I exaggerating? Is this not anti-Semitic to talk about Jews controlling politics and the media and having power and they enjoy special privileges because of that? Is that not an anti-Semitic trope, or am I exaggerating? Maybe I'm exaggerating. Call me out on it if I am.
About I'm going to put boots in the ground in Israel to push out the Gaza. It's like, what the f is this?
The U.S.
You mother. Okay, let him.
will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it.
This is not the definition.
First of all, the clip that you played is actually something that I was correct about. This is not something Israel wants. For United States to own Gaza, how is that a pro-Israeli position? The pro-Israeli position, Gaza is supposed to be for Israel. And this is why Netanyahu didn't know really how to react to us back then. And now the reaction after a couple of days was in line with my prediction. They were saying, they came out, Netanyahu and the rest of Israelis came up with statements that shows that they're not actually happy. They're not in, like they're okay with Gazans leaving, the Palestinians leaving Gaza, but not with the United States actually owning Gaza. That was not a pro-Israeli position. United States wants Israel to come and do all the military work. I mean, Trump wants Israel to come do all the military work and Arabs to do all the investments, and all of a sudden, the United States does the owning without any military commitment and also any financial commitment. They just do the owning. How is that a? I mean, it's good for Israel to actually break the taboo of suggesting that maybe the Palestinians could leave Gaza. But the idea of United States owning Gaza, how is that a pro-Israeli position? That Gaza is supposed to belong to Israel.
And we will do a job with it too. We'll own it.
This is not the definition of DEI. Are you guys not?
No, that is not the definition of DEI. Maybe you should rewind and look at your own fucking clip to see the definition. How is that the definition of DEI? This is so fucking moronic. This is so moronic. Okay, Sarah, I don't know where Sarah went. Oh, Sarah is back. How is United States? Okay, Trump has, I don't know, some positions that we agree with, some positions that we disagree with. That's another discussion. But United States support for Israel has been consistent by the Democrats and the Republicans for good fucking reason. How you're suggesting that United States strategic alliance with Israel is because they're Jews, it's because of their Jewishness, it's because the Jews are manipulating politicians? How is that not an anti-Semitic trope? How is that not anti-Semitic? Do you think the Jewish influence is so high that billions and billions of dollars of U.S. policy and investment is based on the fact that these are Jews? How is that not fucking racist? Do you not see the benefits United States gets from the historical strategic alliance it has with Israel? I mean, the support United States has had and the aid and military support that it has had for every other country, the other country has benefited more than United States, except one fucking country. Except Israel, the strategic alliance between United States and Israel has been, the return on investment on that for United States has been astronomically higher for United States compared to Israel. Do you understand that Israel is fighting the enemies of United States? Do you understand for every dollar United States has invested in Israel, how much they gain back? You know how many American soldiers have not died and Israeli soldiers have died in their place for killing and destroying so effectively, by the way. Israel has so effectively neutralized the enemies of United States with a fraction of the investment required if American soldiers and if American army was involved in itself. United States have no complaining to do. This strategic alliance makes absolute fucking sense. If there's any strategic alliance that makes sense for the United States, is their strategic alliance with Israel. Don't go talking to me about how acting like this has been a favor United States has been doing for Israel. In fact, if there's any favor here, the favor is the other way around. Israel has been paying with blood for the safety and security of Americans. Every single enemy that Israel neutralizes is an enemy of the United States as well. Far away from us. Do you think that these people want to stop at Israel? Every single entity that wants to eliminate Israel wants to eliminate United States. And if Israel was not standing in their fucking way, they will eventually come at United States. You Americans should be thanking Israel for fighting your enemies because you enjoy so much security and safety because of Israel's existence. This is not because they're Jews. This is not because Jews are controlling the media and your politicians, you fucking idiots. This is because this just makes absolute fucking sense.
It's not subsidizing Israel and all the Jews over there, but we can't talk about that. No, all of a sudden now you guys too pussyfoot. Before, you guys love saying LGBTQ slurs all up in Congress. You guys love talking all that shit. As soon as anybody mentions Jews, pearl clutching. It's like,
look at this. Look at the way they're pretending, like calling out, like being anti-Jewish or calling out Jews or saying things about Jews. It's just like pearl clutches. Yeah, some people get unjustifiably offended sometimes. You know, some people get justifiably angered because this is fucking racism. I would get as angry, like if I see anti-black racism, I get angry as well. If I see anti-Arab racism, this channel has called so much of anti-Arab racism, haven't we? This channel that we have Liberal Zoo, and justifiably, when we see anti-Jewish racism, we get angry as well. But don't act like this is something that is not prevalent everywhere on social media. People are so openly anti-Jewish. In fact, it's easier right now to be anti-Jewish than you would be shut down if you were. I see so many Islamic channels being so openly anti-Jewish. If other channels were this anti-black or anti-other minorities, anti-Arab, they would have been shut down. But because of the prevalence of anti-Jewish hatred, there's so many Islamic channels that are just up and running and monetized and growing. I mean, you are being anti-Jewish right now with this anti-Semitic tropes right now. Your channel is not suffering because of it. You get 300,000 views for this racism that you're displaying. So don't act like, oh my God, this is a red line that people do not dare cross.
Okay, at least if you guys were consistent and y'all was throwing this shade, everybody going Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If you want to call out some people, some Republicans, some maybe racist people, some far-right people for the lack of consistency, sure. I would call, yeah. But don't act like you're being consistent. With the excuse of their inconsistency, you are pushing anti-Semitic tropes because they're not being consistent. For example, let me admit something. Do some people see anti-Semitism in places where this is not anti-Semitism? Yes. Should that be called out? Yes. But is this an example of it? No, this is not. You are not being consistent. Misidentifying the strategic alliance and support United States has for Israel as DEI and Jewish control over your politics, that is absolutely anti-Semitism.
Shalom, bitch, you not getting no tax breaks. Then I've been like, cool, okay. But the moment there's a Star of David, niggas close their eyes like the nice guy not illuminated.
Did you say Shabbat Shalom? You ain't okay.
The amount of handouts these guys are giving to Jews is crazy. Not only they're giving handouts.
Look at this. The handout that is, guys, is this not anti-fucking Semitic? The handouts they're giving to Jews, they think all this support is because they're Jews. Is this not racism? Am I imagining things here? Am I exaggerating? How is this not fucking racism? Do you think we get, guys, we're the lobby groups? We have lobby groups for every fucking minority out there. We have lobby groups for so many countries in the United States. The reason why we have support for Israel, it's not because of lobbies. These lobbies, the amount of money that it gets exchanged in lobby groups is pocket change compared to the trillions of dollars worth in strategic military and economic alliance United States has with its most powerful allies. Do you think you could redirect trillions of dollars by spending millions? That is insane. These policies would not be so consistently supported. We're talking about economic incentives and stability and strategic incentives. This level of money and support will not have taken place if it did not make sense. This is why there hasn't been that much of a disagreement between Republicans and Democrats, because it just made so much fucking sense.
They're talking about taking out funding from a lot of the programs that go to like Africa or Latin America. Cool. Bitch is sending hundreds of billions to Israel nonstop. Yeah.
Yeah, because because the return on investment on that. Show me the return on investment on DEI. If anything, it has had a cost to our societies. I could show you the return on investment of supporting Israel. You have received so much more for every dollar that you supported Israel. So much more. The enemies of Israel have made it very clear that the intention is to come for the United States, and Israel is just the next barrier in their way. They don't even hide that.
It's like, this is why I say I don't take a lot of people seriously when they say they have these values and they want to talk about these things. It's like, y'all not comfortable about talking about it. You don't. All this DI is just smokescreen. All this like, oh yeah, plane goes down. We don't want to talk about the fact that, he's put a hiring freeze on the FAA. He doesn't want to talk about the fact that he's affecting a lot of the job hirings or whatever. No. We talk about,
immigrants.
Well, are they a minority?
Immigrants.
Okay, then.
But I guess
are they a Jew?
I guess a minority is not a minority if it has a little bit of power. It's not a minority.
See, look at this. He keeps saying it's a minority. This minority is enjoying privileges and handouts because they're in power, because of Jewish power.
Bro, it's cowardly, bro.
So, yeah.
It's hot. And it's a bit disgusting too. A tragedy happens, and
it's absolutely disgusting how a popular, and go look at the comments. They are all celebrating this for being speaking truth to power. It's so amazing how a minority that is this discriminated, this hated, right? And it's so easy to be racist against. People keep acting like they're in power. If anything, given the level, how much this makes sense. In fact, I think the Israeli lobby and the pro-Jewish lobby groups have failed, because this is such an easy case. If anything, it shows to me that they have much less power than other lobby groups, because this is such an easy point to make. When it comes to controlling the media, I think the Jews have failed in that. They have done, Israel has been so good in so many other places in strategically destroying United States enemies and their own enemies, and the enemies of the whole world, to be honest. But when it comes to actually being present and media and actually convincing people why all of this makes sense, they have failed at that. When it comes to actually politically, the only reason why the strategic alliance still continues. It's not because they have been good at convincing politicians. It's just because it just makes so much fucking sense. The direction of causality is the other. It's not because the lobbies, for example, ABAC and other lobbies, are not a big deal. It's not like they're a big deal. Therefore, they have managed to gain so much support, and therefore they have caused a strategic alliance. No, it's the direction of causality. It's the other way around. The strategic alliance makes so much sense. Therefore, this lobby has had it easy. Do you understand? They don't see it. They see correlation and they think causation. They misidentify the direction of causality.
Like, what race were they? Really? The whole DEI thing is so overblown, and just realizing like, okay, yeah, you want to cut out all these like tax breaks for all these initiatives.
So Mark, I don't so Marcus, thank you for the super chat, but I don't agree with you. So Marcus saying my issue with Abba and Preach is that on this topic is that they're Canadian and they barely talk about Canadian politics. I mean, what we don't need to talk like I'm Canadian. I don't talk about Canadian politics that much. Canadian politics at the world stage is not that important, right? Why should people be limited to, or do they have to focus on their country of origin? If I'm talking about globally what's impactful, like so for example, what if I was even a citizen of a even less significant of a country, and I want to talk about American politics? I could talk. I mean, Americans could talk. We could have a channel of an American just focusing on Canadian politics if they want. Like, you could focus on whatever you want. It's your channel. So I don't agree with that criticism, right? But thank you, Marcus. Thank you for the super chat.
Cool. Then why are they in place for the Jews? And why can't y'all talk about it? And why, when you guys talk about it, you sound exactly the same way Democrats sound when they talk about any other DI initiative? Is there any difference? And if you're
there is absolutely a lot of difference. Maybe read your own fucking definition to you don't even know. Like, it's amazing how this channel focuses so much on talking about politics, and they don't even have the basic understanding of what DEI is.
Trump supporter, whatever the fuck it is, I don't really care. Am I wrong about this? Look at the way this man talks about Israel and Jews.
But they fought back bravely. You see that, you know that. What we have witnessed is an all-out attack on the very.
And also, first of all, let's also see how disgusting it is to reduce Israel to Jews. Okay, one thing I like about Israel is that even though it's 20% Arab, and the 20% Arab enjoy equal, if not more, rights than Jewish citizens. So, Israel does not equal Jew. Right, that's like 1/5 is a huge portion of the country that you're completely dismissing, and also other groups.
You see that, you know that. What we have witnessed is an all-out.
You know what that I don't like? That's coming out of the.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Let's go back here. Where were we? Yeah, here we were here.
Talk about it. And why, when you guys look,
you know that what we have witnessed is an all-out attack on the very existence of a Jewish state in the Jewish homeland. The Israelis have stood strong and united.
Isn't that exactly the way Democrats talk about any initiative that they start? Mm-hmm. What's the difference? It's just
the difference is that they isn't that how Democrats talk about any initiative? I don't know, if you say the people of so and so country have been acting very brave. Yeah, we don't have any issue with that. You could say that. That's not the problem. If that's the language they're using. If you come and say like, oh, Black Americans have faced many challenges and they stood up to racism and they have done this and this and this, even though they have faced many challenges, and we celebrate that, yeah, that's great. Say that, okay? So you are misidentifying the problem. The problem is exaggerating, seeing racism, coming up with the racism of the gaps, trying to explain everything with racism. And the problem with DEI is, as I mentioned, trying to artificially engineer equal outcomes instead of dealing with the root problem. You see, this is a very surface level, and like, oh, this word that these people use sound like that word those people use over there. So that means you are exactly the fucking same. Do you understand how stupid do you have to be to have this surface level of analysis? How are these people celebrated as such deep thinkers? Honestly, they have had good takes. I can see why they are, like, I've seen some of their takes that have been so good. But guys, look at how anti-Semitism, how prevalent it is. that these people with such good takes in other areas are fooled by it.
A different target, same kind of rhetoric. So it's just, I don't know. It was something I was seeing all week, and I was cringing really hard.
The reason that is happening is because it was lobby. People got together.
Look at this, reducing everything, using the Israeli-US alliance. First of all, one idiotic point is to compare it to DEI. Like, we are talking about a global strategic alliance between powerful nations and trillions of freaking dollars in trade, and military funding and everything like that. To reduce it to something like DEI, which is some idiotic thing that not even Democrats, some like progressives are advocating for, is just night and day, right? But also that being one point, but the idea of, look, reducing this important and strategic alliance to only being an impact of lobbying, as if other countries don't have their own lobbies, and as if other minorities, they don't have their own lobbies, their own powerful lobbies. This is basically racism. This is anti-Jewish racism, because you are. It's not that the Jews enjoy certain privileges. In fact, it's the opposite, because Jews are being called out for something that everyone else does. And Israel is being called out for something. Other countries are trying to get strategic favors and strategic alliance with the US as well. Everybody is doing their best to do that. But the reason why Israel is more successful, because Israel has been more successful in fighting United States enemies, and Israel has been more successful at technology, at entrepreneurship, and economics, and surviving, and everything else. I mean, this was not the case before, right? United States had even put sanctions on Israel at some point. But Israel has been proven to be, victorious against all odds in so many cases, eliminating. I mean, who destroyed? Do you understand the Hezbollah? Many of the leaders that Israel eliminated, they killed so many Americans, and Americans for the past, 40 years have been looking to kill these leaders for killing Americans, and they never managed to. You know who killed the murderers of Americans? It was IDF. It was Israel's army that eliminated the murderers of Americans. Hezbollah killed so many Americans that American soldiers never managed to get around to get revenge and basically show their deterring power. Israel did that for Americans. So you think now U.S.'s support for Israel is just because of AIPAC?
Cringing really hard.
The reason that is happening is because it was lobby. People got together and was like, yo, we're not doing that.
Oh, yeah, the Jews with their money controlling the politics. Yeah.
And then the president, well, we're going to do something about it, or I'm not going to get the tax dollars.
So somebody saying, Bob is saying, revenge important? No, but it's not. So revenge is the wrong word. Demonstrating your deterring capabilities, so these things don't happen again. That's the intention. That should be the intention, to demonstrate your deterring capabilities so it doesn't continue. And also D is saying, thanks, IDF. Yes, exactly.
Or whatever, whatnot. You know what I mean? So we don't have that. We don't have a group. The Latinos don't have a group.
Also, I don't want to hear nobody tell me, oh, what happened? There's actual anti-Jewish sentiment, blah, blah, blah. Bro, the things that they call anti-Semitism is just saying, I don't with the state of Israel. I don't want to buy products that come from Israel.
So here's the thing. This is so obviously anti-Semitic. And they're saying like, oh, we're just criticizing Israel. I don't know. I criticize Israel here and there. You know who else criticizes Israel? Israelis. In fact, the best source of criticism of Israel comes from Israel itself. Okay? So don't act like, everybody, like, oh, this is not anti-Semitism. This is just criticizing Israel. Fuck you. This is what you're saying is clear anti-Semitism.
It's just saying, I don't with the state of Israel. I don't want to buy products that come from Israel. Illegal. They've made it.
Yeah. The products that come from Israel, how does that help? Do you know how many Palestinians and Arabs are losing money because of those sanctions? By the way, I would say though, making that illegal, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with making people deciding not to buy from. I mean, I criticize both sides here. Okay, people who are boycotting Israel, they're idiots. And that movement as a whole, that whole boycotting Israel and not buying Israeli products, the people involved with that are so clearly anti-Semitic. Okay. However, on the other side, if somebody wants to make it illegal for that campaign, such a campaign to exist, I'd also disagree with that as well. I'm a free speech maximalist. You should be allowed to be as idiotic as you want. If you're not being violent, if you want to have campaigns, you should just be called out, and that stupid campaign should be fought against with speech, with being called out, and with maybe people having their own campaign buying more Israeli products. That's how you fight that, not making it illegal, right? So let's continue.
It's illegal to boycott a country you don't.
Yeah. So those Republicans who wanted to make it illegal, I disagree with that. I think the way that they should have tackled that stupid campaign is to have their own campaign where they buy maybe more Israeli products.
You can boycott your own country. You can criticize your own country, but there's such a DEI effort for Israel. You can't even say.
Okay, that's not DEI. Okay, so yes, there are some Christian right-leaning people that their support for Israel is like crazy and based on false, premises. And okay, you want to call that out? Call that out. Okay. That doesn't mean that there's not a liberal, justifiable reason for supporting Israel. Okay. And that doesn't make us not see what you're doing here. Identifying some religious mumbo jumbo and some bizarre ways of showing support for Israel, and then trying to categorize all supports for Israel as DEI and Jewish privilege. Okay. That is your racism. That is your anti-Semitism. Yeah, there are examples of crazy and crazy reasons for supporting Israel and crazy methods of supporting Israel. But you are generalizing this to all supports for Israel. A strategic alliance, the trillions of dollars support for Israel. Okay, trillions. I'm not just talking military. I'm also talking about trade. That, by the way, United States has with many of its allies. United States has these strategic alliances with Germany, with France, with Japan, with South Korea. All of these make a lot of sense. But the one that makes one of the most sense, I mean, all these other countries that I could mention, even though that strategic alliance has had a benefit for the United States, I would argue that it even had more of a sense for the other country, right? But with Israel, the benefit has been so much. The return on investment for the United States is immeasurable. Is insane how much Americans have benefited from this strategic alliance, right? So for you to go and dig some insane examples and then try to dismiss their entire thing as Jewish DEI or Jewish privilege because they have lobby groups, I see what you're doing, and I call it out as anti-Semitism. Yeah, Heavy Gretel is saying, yeah, I support Israel because it's moral and also just straight up practical. Exactly. Okay, and Heavy Gretel, I'm assuming she's part of the left, I'm assuming, right? Gretel, I don't want to put words in your mouth. And she's I think anti-Trump and stuff like that. So you can see we have many right-leaning people and left-leaning people here on our chat, on our audience, that are liberal. Whether they're right-leaning or left-leaning, they're not far right, they're just right, and they're not woke, they're just left. They're both liberal, whether they're right-leaning or left-leaning. Okay, so this is what I enjoy about our channel and the audience that we have here, right? So I don't know if Heavy Gretel, if I miscategorized you, please let me know. Okay. Yeah, Heavy Gretel in the chat is saying, what gave it away? Was it the purple hair? I mean, to be honest, I've seen right-leaning people, pro-Trump right-leaning people with blue and purple hair recently, so I don't know. I try not to assume anymore. Okay, but yeah. No, it's not your hair, it's the other things you said in previous chats.
Hey, I don't want they shit.
But you can't say that it's a DEI effort because they're not part of the DEI. It's not DEI.
Diversity, yes, they are.
They're not.
Equity,
So it's funny, they're saying like, oh, diversity. Yes, they are. So they're trying to make fun of this. Idiot. Look, he says because the word diversity, he thinks, like, yes, they are. This is because of diversity. First of all, it's not because of diversity. As I mentioned, it's because you get a higher return on your investment. That's the reason. Second, maybe see what the rest: diversity, equity, and inclusion. Is it about equity? Is it about inclusion? Is United States supporting Israel because we just want to include Jewish people? It's such a shame that the Jews are not involved. We're just trying to include them. We just want to have more of them represented. Is that the fucking reason? Or is it because Israel has been so masterful at just going around? And you know how chaotic the Middle East would have been? Do you know the energy insecurity the world would have had if Israel was not in the Middle East supporting not just United States, but the whole liberal order should have been supporting Israel. United States is supporting Israel more than its fair share because the rest of the countries around the world are not supporting as much as they should have, given what Israel is doing for everybody. I don't know. These people. Do you understand that if Israel was not there, we would either now have, how you remember the Cold War, guys? Remember the Cold War? Do you understand what how chaotic and how unstable the world was when we have the Soviet Union as a huge bloc standing up against the world liberal order? So imagine after that, if we had an either Arab empire or an Islamic empire, because without Israel this is why the Pan-Arabists and Islamists consider Israel to be a tumor in the Middle East, stopping them from creating either a caliphate or an imamate or an Arab or a Pan-Arabist empire. These are the three things they want. If they're Pan-Arabist, they want a Pan-Arabist empire. If they are Sunni, they want a caliphate. Or if they're Shia, they want an imamate. The only thing that stopped that from happening, for us have to an equivalent of having something like the Soviet Union, starting a new either Cold or World War after the Cold War ended, was because Israel was in that region stopping it. And this is something they admit. This is something that the Pan-Arabist admits. This is something that the 12-verse Shia Vilayat al-Faqih mullahs in Tehran admit. And this is what ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Muslim Brotherhood and Wahhabis admit. This is what they all admit. So Israel stopped that. Israel is the reason why you don't have another version of the Cold War continuing after the one with the Soviet Union stopping. So let's continue.
That's what that is.
Yeah, but it's
Inclusion. Welcome home, Jews.
Yes, but it's not.
Moses is calling.
No, but it's not the same thing. It's not.
Sorry, Trump is calling.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is not about, it's so fucking stupid. This is not because of equity. The reason why Democrats and Republicans have so consistently realized that they need to support Israel is because, we need more Jews. We need to include more Jews. Jews are not represented enough, and we just need to give them more seat at the table. Fucking morons.
It's not the same thing. It's not.
Sorry, Trump is calling.
Thank you. Now, I don't have the argument to tell you why it's not the same thing.
Okay, well, maybe come and listen to me. I don't know the name of this guy. Which one is he? Okay, come watch my channel and then you will know. Okay, you don't have the argument because you're idiots and you're ignorant and you don't understand geopolitics. Maybe come listen. Maybe come talk to. Maybe invite me. Maybe come and I'll enlighten you.
But it's not.
You have no arguments. That's why you're just being sarcastic and you're just making a joke.
I don't have the argument to tell you why it's not the same thing, but it's not.
So here's the thing. They're saying this is DEI, this is DEI. And instead of making the point for why this is DEI, he just the D stands for diversity, so it's DEI. It's so fucking stupid. And he's trying to say that the reason why this is DEI is by, listen to this joke. I don't have an argument. The other side have to argue that this is DEI. He's pretending like he's the other side. I'm just going to say it's not DEI, but I don't have any argument. So this is a straw man. instead of listening to other people for why they would say that this is not DEI, he's going to act like he's them, and he's going to make fun of them by acting like he doesn't have any arguments. Say, this is so stupid. Yeah, it's very sad.
Not. And stop.
Could you imagine Trump parting the Red Sea? I parted the best seas. As he opens,
zero arguments, just jokes. They think they're so clever. They think that they just came up with an argument like, oh, let me call this DEI, with no arguments, no understanding of geopolitics, no understanding of the historic strategic alliance between United States and Israel, and I could call out Jews and act like a channel that is being consistent, like speaking truth to power and making some jokes, and my audience will celebrate me. This is all it takes.
Say it like this. As he opens, let's just like, I parted the best seas by my administration.
Nah,
and the shit just opens.
Nah,
I'm just saying.
Hey, you're crazy.
But that's pretty much what he's doing.
He's parting the Red Sea, and he's like, let's cross.
We did the best walk.
No,
The best.
No, because
I can't do a Trump impression.
No, because you're crazy for that shit, bro.
I think I got it right here. Let me try this toupee.
Go ahead.
All right, is the rest of it just jokes? Is the rest of it just jokes? No, let's see.
Okay. So, my administration, the best. We have the best people for partying. We party all day. Parting the Red Sea, not a problem. And I just want to say, all you Arabs who are like, oh, Kamala, Gaza's speaking now, bitch.
There's a lot of said that.
You guys look like idiots.
There's a lot of people that said
They're
that.
about to root you guys out of Palestine completely, make sure y'all never return again.
Oh.
And y'all did it to spite yourselves. Oh, congratulations.
They're going to make it illegal.
You guys are speaking loud. You guys can speak about it in each.
I mean, I don't know. This might be. I don't know what is going to happen. Honestly, if this doesn't happen in a proper way, I could blame whoever is responsible for it. But honestly, the best thing that could happen to Gaza is for them to leave Gaza and find them somewhere better to live. I don't understand. Like, this would not be a tragedy. It would only be a tragedy if the people who are handling this handle it poorly and they don't provide them somewhere better to live, and this becomes chaotic and crazy. Which honestly, it's not unlikely that it could happen that way. But honestly, if there was a solution to make the outcome the best outcome for both Israelis and Gazans, is to just build something in the Sinai Peninsula, like build a city there, and then Gazans could just go live there and in peace and security. It's just that the problem is that Egypt doesn't want to deal with the most extreme version of Muslim Brotherhood within their borders, right? So that's the thing. But the thing is that, I mean, you could build this, you could just move the security just one step. Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But again, Egypt has to accept such a thing, because the United States has so much leverage over Egypt. They have so much leverage over Egypt. Egypt's government would not be able to survive America not supporting it. So even though this might be an existential crisis to them, it would also be a crisis for them if the United States is just supporting Egypt. So the United States, I mean, Trump has some crazy takes here and there, but the idea of using United States leverage in the way that they should have for so many years, I mean, I'm not against that. That seems like a good idea. Sometimes he overdoes it and he says some crazy things here and there, but at least with the United States is actually flexing some muscle that it has, that it refused to use for a long time.
Egypt, I can speak about it in Jordan, but never again in Gaza. Yeah, all the Arabs who I saw, oh, Trump is going to treat us so well. He told y'all he didn't give a fuck about you. Y'all
So look at how limited their understanding of geopolitics are. As if the Arabs in Gaza are, a representative of Arab as well. Do you understand how many Arabs who might support Trump don't give a shit about Gaza? Do you understand that? Do you know how many Gulf Arabs actually, unfortunately, hate Palestinians with more passion than you might even find in Israel? Do you understand that? So I don't know. These people think like, oh, look how Trump is treating you. Trump is now, you supported Trump and now they're coming for people in Gaza. I mean, I know some Gulf Arabs that would want Trump to just bombard the whole Gaza and just be done with it. I know many Gulf Arabs that would celebrate the day that if you drop 2 atomic bombs in Gaza, there's so many Gulf Arabs that would just celebrate that day. Okay, unfortunately. So you don't even understand the complex. This doesn't represent. It's complex. We have so many different kinds of Arabs with so many different points of views, and you're acting like all Arabs are going to be like, oh, we've been betrayed because Trump has said that Gazans should leave Gaza. So you don't understand the complexity and nuance of what you're even talking about. By the way, guys, I'm going to address the super chats right after.
Speak about it in Jordan, but never again in Gaza. Yeah, all the Arabs who I saw, oh, Trump is going to treat us so well. He told y'all he didn't give a fuck about you. Y'all stupid as hell. I can understand not voting.
No, so that Trump actually does give a lot of shit about Arabs, in fact. Okay, so Trump's main strategy in the Middle East is reliance on Arab countries. So Trump actually loves many Gulf Arabs, especially especially Saudi Arabians and Emiratis, and also recently he has been weirdly friendly with Qatar as well. So yeah, he does give a fuck. He gets a lot of money and investment from especially Saudi Arabia. So he does give it. So you don't. So these people have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
For her, but voting for him, y'all dumb as hell too.
A lot of them voted.
Yeah, like imagine being this dumb about geopolitics in the Middle East and calling other people dumb.
Trump is going to treat us so well. He told y'all he didn't give a fuck about you. Y'all stupid as hell. I can understand not voting for her, but voting for him, y'all dumb as hell too.
A lot of them voted for Trump. I thought it was Latinos.
I'm not gonna say a lot of them, but in some key areas, a lot of them did vote for him.
So it's interesting because you could find in the United States you have some limited support of Arabs and Muslims for Trump, but outside of the United States, I think these people have no idea. Okay, there's a lot of support by Arabs for Trump. There's a lot of them, especially people, the Arabs who are more investment oriented or investment minded. They adore Trump. Many Arabs around the world.
Mm.
And ever since he came out and said that he wants to empty Gaza, they adore him even more.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, but hey, this is where we're at right now. I just thought this was so funny to me, and the hypocrisy of people that I'm seeing online is it never ends. I'm watching comics defend the whole salute thing. I'm watching everybody just bend over backwards.
You hate comics now.
I just hate people. I just hate people who said they were all about that freedom of speech stuff. Tell it like it is. And then all of a sudden billionaires show up and all of a sudden they want to suck the. I'm saying Patrice O'Neill and.
Wow, this is such a bad take. Like people speak about freedom of speech, but then something happens and they usually it's so funny how people don't understand what free speech means. Right. So again, even if their support for, I don't know, Musk or Trump is wrong, how is that anti-free speech? Like, oh, people talk about it's interesting. Every time I see an example on YouTube or social media, somebody tries to call out some other people's hypocrisy when it comes to free speech, 9 times out of 10, they don't know what free speech even means. They say like, oh, these people talk about free speech, but, and then after but, they give an example that is actually not a violation of freedom of speech. How is that a violation of, how is that hypocrisy? I mean, I'm not saying these people are not in some senses hypocritical, but this is not an example. How is that? How are they violating their freedom of speech stance by, I don't know, sucking on billionaire dick? Is that what you say? Like, let's say they do that. Let's say that these people are sucking Elon Musk dick and blah blah blah. They are irrationally supporting Elon Musk, and their support is or Trump or Elon Musk is not even justifiable. Okay, let's say it's not. They're being idiots. Let's say. Okay, how is that even a violation of freedom of speech? How is that a contradiction? I don't understand.
Sudden billionaires show up, and all of a sudden they want to suck the. I'm saying Patrice O'Neill and George Carlin would be rolling in their grave if they saw half the comics today, and how much they want to buddy up. Look, speak your mind. If you want to support a billionaire, support a billionaire. I don't even care. But the idea that you're going to bite your tongue or talk different because you want access to rich people, you're a fucking mainstream media. You're no different.
Yeah, okay. Even, let's say, first of all, that's some of them. Okay. Let's say, for example, for the sake of argument, let's say that they are biting their tongue because these are billionaires, which I don't know. We have to evaluate every individual. Okay, I think a lot of these people's support for, I don't know, these billionaires might be for different reasons. These are a diverse group of people that we're talking about, right? But let's say they are all biting their tongue because they are billionaires. And I don't even how that benefits you. Like, for example, if I'm a YouTuber, I'm like, I'm not going to criticize Musk because he's a billionaire. Okay, like, how does that benefit me as a YouTuber? Like, wouldn't that actually benefit me to go against him because people are like, oh yeah, you're speaking to truth to power? Okay, but even if they're being hypocritical like that, how is that a contradiction to them being standing for free speech? Like, you're just all over the place. These people are they don't even understand the definition of free speech, DEI. They don't understand the strategic reason why United States is supporting Israel. They don't understand in the basic. They're just funny and they speak with confidence and it's entertaining to watch them. That's why they get a lot of views.
Different because you want access to rich people. You're a fucking mainstream media. You're no different. You're no different.
Most of the time when people say you're no different, there's a lot of differences. Okay, because again, see how I'm careful. I'm saying most of the time because I'm trying not to speak in absolutes. When people speak in absolutes, that's a red flag. When people say you're no different, usually there's a lot of differences there. So just every time somebody is speaking in such black and white terms that you are completely the same, you're no different, you should be more skeptical about these types of analysis, the people who talk like this.
I just don't want to hear about podcast bros and how much they're willing to speak their mind. They're not. They can't even call a spade a spade. Defend Trump. Vote for him. I don't care. That would.
I mean, maybe sometimes you're right, but also maybe you are not understanding what they're saying, as I can see, as it's demonstrated.
It's clearly what Elon was doing.
Yes.
Okay, so P saying clearly what Elon was saying. That's a whole other topic.
Defense.
I don't know. How do we get from support for Israel being DEI to all of a sudden these people are supporting Elon Musk and he was doing a Nazi salute, and these people are just sucking billionaire dick? I don't understand.
Vote for him. I don't care. That was clearly what Elon was doing.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know. We just completely changed the topic. So what Elon did was either so there's three options. Either he's a Nazi and he was doing a Nazi salute, or he was not intentionally doing a Nazi salute. Okay. Or I think like a lot of people are not discussing the third option, which I think like I don't know what the man is going in his head. But if I had to guess, I would say it's the third option. Okay, that he's not a Nazi, but that was a Nazi salute. I mean, I'm guessing. I have no idea. It's interesting how a lot of people speak with confidence about this, given that we cannot read people's mind. Okay, I'm just guessing, and I'm being very skeptical about it. If I had to guess without much evidence, so that's why it's only at the level of a guess. It's not even a hypothesis, let alone a theory. It's just a guess on my part. I suspect that he was trolling. He's a person who thinks he wants to see how much he could get away with. He's a person who loves to be talked about. He loves to be parts of conversations. So he was trolling to be parts of conversations. He's not a Nazi. He doesn't have Nazi ideology, but he said, it's kind of like how some people use the OK symbol. Like, let me see if I could get people if I could put something out there that could be hateful but could not, and let people constantly talk about it, guessing whether it was or it wasn't, and make fun of them after for doing such a thing, right? So like, for example, the OK symbol was such a perfect thing. Like, oh, let's say it's a far right symbol, but it's also a OK symbol. So then the people who are discussing for hours and hours whether this is a hate symbol or not, then they're going to look ridiculous, and then we're going to make fun of them for that. So this is trolling behavior. Even if it was a Nazi salute, it doesn't mean he is a Nazi, but it might be that he's trolling. So a lot of people don't consider that third option. A lot of people are saying only considering two options. He's a Nazi, that was a Nazi salute. He's not a Nazi, therefore that was not a Nazi salute. A lot of people didn't consider that it is a Nazi salute, but he was trolling and he's not a Nazi. If I had to bet, I would bet on that one. All right, but I don't know. Okay, I cannot read minds.
But anyways, apparently he just did.
Yeah, I'm not defending him. Some Darko is saying trolling is even worse option. Though. Yeah, I'm not defending it. I'm not saying it was a good thing to do. I'm just saying that's what I think happened.
That because he's autistic. The richest man in the world.
No, you can't be
doesn't
that,
know what he's doing.
You can't be that smart and
The richest man in the world doesn't know what he's doing yet. The richest man in the world sometimes have some crazy, like he has done things that was idiotic. Like just because he's rich and smart in some areas doesn't mean that he's going to be smart in everything. So, and that's not a good way to defend it. Yeah, D is saying he likes the spotlight, which is why he makes everyone see his post on X. Yeah, exactly. He likes the this is a lot of times people who become very, very successful. It's not just a matter of intelligence. It's also a matter of obsessively wanting to matter and never being satisfied with that, no matter how much you matter. And being part of conversations and being part of at people's attentions is a demonstration that you matter, right? And people like Trump or Elon Musk, they don't like conversations taking place that they're not the subject of. So the goal is to be the subject of more discussion, a higher percentage of discussions around the world than it's happening. Right? That's their measure of success. Okay, so in whatever way possible, if it could be a subject, and that's why they're successful, because they're so obsessed about that, right? But anyways, that's one of the reasons. I'm not saying he's not smart. Okay, his smartness is also part of it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's not childish. Smart people can sometimes be childish. Okay, these are not contradictory. Let me look at the super chat. Thank you, first of all, Nina, for buying 5 membership gifts. Guys, we're trying to get to 1,000 members. If we get to 1,000 members, we're going to be able to not have to worry about anything financially ever again. So thank you for buying membership. Let me see, how many members are we at now? If we get to 1,000 members, then we are 234. Okay, so we made some progress. So thank you guys for being members, and also buying memberships for people. This is exactly what we need. Oh, and also Vic also bought 5 memberships. So thank you so much for gifting that. Let me see the super chat. Great Red Menace is saying, Armin, having seen the most depraved ceremony in recent history in Gaza, dancing on the coffins of babies, can you tell us why should we focus on them? Why should we focus on them? Well, because this just happened. I've set the streams one day before I go live. So this event, I would have had the stream about that topic. First of all, what you just saw is the reason why shit like this happens. Okay, the reason why you should focus, what I just covered is important, is because the level of anti-Jewish hate around the world, that existence of that makes events like this possible, right? If we didn't have such global anti-Jewish hatred, the support for Israel globally would have been more massive, and Israel's hands would have been more untied to go and without any hesitation eliminate all its enemies. That's why what I just covered is important, right? So that's one thing, right? 2, the topic that you're talking about will be the topic of my next stream, right? I needed more time, and I also need the reactions to what happened come in so that I could cover them as well, right? So what happened, just the absolute tragedy that just happened, we need to analyze that, but I also want to analyze the other people's analysis on it. So that's why, but this, guys, what you're suggesting and what we just covered here, these are not disconnected. These are not disconnected. Right. Okay, wait, guys, I gotta go. So 2 more super chats saying, I'm gonna be that guy. 2014, the gays of Palestine happened. Never forget. Okay, guys, I need to go soon, so let me just read the super chats really quick. Marcus is saying, how can liberals have an issue with Nazi salute and hate Israel? Okay, I think that's a sarcastic thing here. And also only cis deal in absolute, yes. And also thank you for Uriel and Daddy Dave for your support. Guys, I gotta go, but thank you so much for your support. Until next stream, bye-bye. Like the stream.